want to introduce you, Joaquin Asenico, filmmaker, producer, writer, director. You've done all those things.
I've done.
And
if you're as a gaffer,
you've held lights, you've done it all. And we're going to be talking about 2 short films, but of course, share more. I want to hear more about the film, the feature documentary you're working on, The Blacks, but not to be confused with what's his name? What's the show on HBO? What's that guy's name who did Seinfeld or whatever?
Jason Alexander or
no, whatever. Whatever.
Larry David? No.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Him.
Okay.
So Tenguerengue.
Tenguerengue, yes, that's right.
A short film about relationships, and I tried to search what the translation was, and I couldn't find it. And you were just telling me about it. So, yeah, go ahead. I'll hand it over to you, man.
Well, the short film Tenguerengue is about. It means something like instability in something that is not stable, that it's about to fall.
Yeah,
that's an expression in Spanish. It es en Tenguerengue, está en Tenguerengue. It's about to fall, or it's unstable. And so I thought it was a great title for a short film about relationships between a man and a woman that starts out as a relationship that is very nice, everything's great, and then later but other things get worse.
It's real.
And so
it's a very conceptual piece that you did. It's less of a narrative. I mean, there's certainly a story and a storyline in it, but it's very conceptual, and it's sort of kind of a programmatic. The framework is this programmed computer program that's running as an operational system within this couple, and right. There are these stages and milestones and these sort of built-in functionality of it, and it's there's certainly a sarcastic piece to a big extent. And you are, I assume you're married, because you said you have a kid, but I don't know.
Yes, I am married.
Mother-in-law, right?
Yeah.
So how long have you been married?
I've been married for 7 years.
7 years.
Almost 7 years. It'll be 7 years in the fall.
And how long have you and your wife been together?
We met in 2009.
Okay.
So for what? I don't know how many, for forever. For 12 years?
Right. I mean, you made it longer than the programmatic running system of your film.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you beat that program. So, the first question that I ask all the filmmakers is, from a psycho-emotional, spiritual place, where did the inspiration come from for you to make this film?
Well, the idea on the script was written by Antonio Palacio Rojo, with this documentary I'm working on. He's the writer and director.
Okay.
And he had this idea, and he said, "Do you want to direct it?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." Or maybe he offered me, or he said, "I want to do this," and I say, "Well, I'll direct it," or I don't remember now. But the thing is that I wanted to make a very. He wanted to do he wanted to make a newer short film, because I think for a couple of years we were trying to raise money for this documentary that we just premiered in Spain. We were trying to get raise money, and for a moment there we were stuck, and it took us 7 years to make this feature film. It took forever, but anyway. Okay. So there he decided, "Hey, I have this idea. Why don't we shoot it?" And I hadn't directed any short film for a while, and I was like, I feel like I should direct it, so that I keep on directing things. Yeah. And so he said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." We didn't want to spend too much money, so we thought, why don't we make the most minimalistic film that has ever been made? So we decided, I think it was already his idea that, like to have a white background. So like no background, only two people, two actors, little furniture, like very, no dialogue. So, very, very minimalistic. And then I'm not sure if you noticed in the short film, half of the short film then repeats itself. So,
Yes, you've
so
reused
with
the
the same
shot.
images,
Yes.
we do it's like a palindrome. So because it goes
Yes.
the same way. I mean, like we use the same images to
Right. The
tell a
word spelled
totally
out.
different story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And also it's a nice use of, or it proves the theory of the Kuleshov effect. You know the Kuleshov?
No.
It's well, I think Hitchcock also talked about it. There's a theory that if you show, for example, if you shoot a person with like a blank face, like no expression, and then you cut to a shot of a plate with food, and then you cut back to the actor with the straight face. People in the audience are going to think, the actor or the character is hungry because he's got this straight face, but he's looking at
right.
We're cutting back to food, and then you cut back to him, so people are going to think,
Right.
he's hungry. If you do the same exact with no expression, the same face, and you cut back to a child, and then you cut back to him, the audience is going to think, oh, he's very moved by this child that he's looking at, right?
Yeah.
So that Hitchcock, there is a famous, like a little short film that is in, I think, in YouTube, that talks about, it's Hitchcock talking about the Kuleshov effect.
How do you spell it?
Kuleshov. It's a Russian, I think it was a Russian filmmaker.
Sounds like I should know. Yeah. Kuleshov. I'll check it out.
And anyway, well, it's a theory that says through montage,
yes,
you can tell an audience what to feel or what to think.
Yes.
So in the same thing here, but with titles. We tell people that they're breaking up and they have the same expression, but if we tell them, look, they're breaking up, and if we we cut it this way or the other, there people are going to think, oh yeah, they're breaking up and they're very unhappy in the relationship. If we tell people, look at these two, they're very happy in the relationship with the same face, they're going to think, oh yeah, they're doing it. Or even with another use of music, I think that's what we do in the film. If I remember well, we use a different kind of music. Then, oh, they're very happy in the relationship.
Yeah. So the audience supplies the meaning to cues and different cues. Right. So, but getting back to the question, because you've answered it from a very practical, pragmatic, perspective, but I really want to know, what did you connect with in the script? What did your heart? Why? What was that?
Yeah, the connection is that I believe that complete relationships are very, very complicated, and sometimes you even in different moments in the same relationship, things are going great and things are going awfully bad. But if you look at them from outside, and as we are the viewers, the audience of these scenes, I mean, we see them from, we're not inside the relationship, we are from outside the relationship. It looks like things are going great. Even I was in a relationship for 7.5 years, I think, back when I was young, or younger, and I thought things were going great, and then one day my ex-girlfriend he told me, I want to talk to you. I have something important that I want to tell you, and she said, I want to break up. Things are going awful for me, whatever. And I had the impression, like, well, this, like 3 days ago during the weekend, we were like, hee hee, haha, we're very happy. We went to, I don't know where, we took the car and went to see a movie. We were laughing, we were enjoying our, food. And then 3 days later, you're telling me things are awful. I want to break up. So sometimes you never know the other person. So having the same face, with the same expression, you think, she's doing great, she's happy with me, and then 3 days later you find out she's not.
Right.
So
that's the importance of communication. Communication, always having that open
Yeah.
dialogue is
Right.
critical to any relationship, whether it's a quick interaction with, somebody who comes to help repair the plumbing in your home, or if it's a life partner,
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, I can totally understand and relate to that. The next question is it's evolved into a two-part question, and especially with the conceptual piece, I think it's very, germane or relevant. What were you, because you sit down with a writer as a director and you're sitting down, you're talking about, okay, well, we're going to do this, that, and the other, and you have a vision. The director has to hold the vision, the writer has a vision, the director has a vision. So the vision is the guide through the filmmaking process. So the vision that you're holding is a statement. And what is the statement? What were you trying? What did you want to say during pre-production and production? And then now, with it being complete, what do you see the film saying post-production? And how does it align to the statement?
Well, in this particular case, the main idea was to, like I was saying about, the how, like how you, from outside, how you see things and how things change depending on the perspective. So what I try to maintain through the whole process, or the statement, like you were asking, was, okay, during the whole process, we're going to try not to trick the audience into anything. We'll just want to show the things the way they are. So try to keep that, that's why also, white background, it's in black and white, so that we don't distract them with anything. So like everything is the same. So that everything will look the same, and then we will reverse the meaning. So one of the things was that be truthful to the emotions, and keep everything, not in order not to cheat, with not to trick people. That's from the beginning in the whole, film, and the whole process. We're gonna, try to be use the same style all the time and not do anything tricky. I'm not sure if that answers
Yeah,
the
no, I
question.
totally understand. Yeah, you're not using the, art production or backgrounds, or, you're not
Right.
manipulating variables
The,
minimally.
the idea was to do something like Dogma. We had this idea also, but then I didn't carry it out. Like I didn't develop it enough. My idea was to do my production company is called Lemendu. So I was thinking about doing like the Lemendu challenge. So like offer people to, like, you give people the same rules. So because I gave myself like a set of rules, like black and white, no background, or white background, like a limbo effect. Use furniture, but only the props that are necessary. No, like say, for example, there is a couch. They sit in the couch. That's it. But there's only a couch because we need them to sit down in something. There are two stools, I think, that they're sitting there. Like minimal. Only the props that we need, like nothing extra, no extra accessories, or like sunglasses, or there are no sunglasses, or no. There's a map, only one map. So only to use, that's why I talked about minimalism. Only in order to tell the story, like we wouldn't have anything, like no accessories, only the minimal stuff to tell the story. So that was like a challenge, like I said. So white background, two people maximum, no dialogue, black and white. Anyway, we had a set of rules that we had to keep in order to tell the story. And we use an iPhone. We use a phone to make it, so that we wouldn't use any fancy. I use an anamorphic lens to give it more like a cinema look, but we didn't use like a, no expensive. It was like a Dogma 95 kind of film. In the Dogma 95 was this movement that came out in a very, I mean, it was a, if it happened before 95, I think it would have the success that the movement had. And right now, I think it wouldn't have any success, Dogma 95, because we're in this world of, making films very like spectacular and very nice looking, and 4K, 8K,
Right.
But back in the time, it was necessary, because there was a time that digital was coming out, and they decided let's shoot digital, then we blow it up to 35, and with little money, without story, and we can be risky, because if you spend no money in a film, you can take all the risk in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not risking money. If you're not risking money, you can be more free. So that was the main idea. It was such a cheap film to make, that we thought we could do anything. I mean, it doesn't matter if there's no dialogue, if there's black and white. I mean, we're not risking anything. So let's be free.
And for sure, that's again, the kind of a very practical level of the filmmaking, and the necessity of doing it that way, and the restrictions helping you to be more creative in
Right.
telling the story. And yet there's that level beneath it where you have to speak, as a creator from that creative place. And what is it that you were saying creatively, emotionally, conceptually, psychologically, however you want to.
Right. Well, also I had one premise, or some sort of a premise in mind. I get a lot of calls from students that they call my production company, or they write emails and they say, "Oh, since you're a production company and you have all the like they think I own cameras, or I mean I rent them like any production company. You just rent the last model that came out or whatever, or because I mean you can have every camera that exists that normally you use depending on, or the lenses that you use depending on the. It's a very amateur thing to think. If I have this great camera, I'll make a great film. If I have this. So I decided, okay, I'm going to try to make a great film with with an iPhone. So it was a try. I was trying to prove that you can, tell a story with no, with little, I don't know, elements, or I mean, little technical, with two lights and on the phone. I mean, you can make a movie.
Right. But
if you know how to make a film, of course.
But the story itself, right? It's too, it's, as a viewer, it's set within a computer program, as we discussed, and the computer program has life expectancy, seemingly.
Right.
And the life expectancy of, right. So from that narrative place, what are you saying? What was that message?
Yeah, we're starting a computer as a software that analyzes human relationships.
Mm-hmm.
That was in order to let the audience know that from a computer point of view, I mean, let's say from a denaturalized or dehumanized point of view, when you take a look at relationships, everything is very surreal. Everything is very even stupid, I don't know, or very, I would say, not practical, very unpractical. No, so that's why we decided to start. So the computer is like analyzing the relationship. So that's why it says like a software, whatever. And then there is like a change in the software at the end of the. That's why there's like this old computer at the beginning with the the title that everything looks very retro, and then at the end there's like this new software, very like a modern display and all that. The idea was that it's like, let's try again. It's like we're gonna try it again, and in a computer, you try to like update everything all the time. The technique is, you have 180p, and now I have 4K. Well, the same thing. So the computer is like trying to create a perfected version of relationships. That's why at the end there's like this ray of light. There is a new opportunity. There is a new possibility of meeting another
Got it.
person. And
Got it. Got it. I understand as an artist, myself, when you're asked to discuss what is the meaning of your work, right? That can be a challenging question.
yeah.
And because a part of you just says, well, you figure it out, I made it, you tell me what, it's up to you to create meaning. And I think that's ultimately a cop out. I don't think that's of course you want your audience to make it meaningful, to bring their own meaning
Mhm.
to it, but I think that's just kind of an easy way of dismissing the question personally.
Mhm.
Because that vision I talked about, the meaning, there is a meaning, and that meaning drives you. And at least as an artist, I think I'm not alone here. You want to be able to convey something meaningful to your audience, right?
Right. Yes. That's the idea. I mean, you make films in order to show to people, not to keep them to yourself.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes people give uh, other meanings to
Yeah.
your pieces. I mean, any films
Yeah.
that I've made, I think people, I think Francis Ford Coppola said it with The Godfather. Now that it's the 50th anniversary, he said, "The Godfather is not mine. Now it's out there. It's everybody's film. It's not my film." So people, there are many theories, and all the critics, they believe whatever they want to believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now we're seeing it with the new the film that just came out, the documentary. I read some reviews that I can see that they understood what we were trying to do with the documentary, and some of them they just missed the film totally.
Yeah.
They missed it. It's like,
Yeah.
you're talking about another film. It's not even the
Right.
film that we made.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
because people, they have their expectations. It's about
Yes.
this film is about a black brotherhood that was founded in Seville in 1393. It's like 630 years ago.
Wow.
So people, they think, oh, are gonna see. Some people, they even think they're going to see a movie, and then they find out it's a documentary, because it's a feature film. So people think, oh, it's a film, it's fiction. But anyway, and there are actors, there are reenactments, and anyway. So people, they have their own movie in their head, and now when they see your movie, they I don't know, they make an interpretation of the
Right.
film. So that's, I think it's inevitable. I mean, there's no
Absolutely.
way you can avoid. I mean,
Absolutely.
people not
Absolutely.
thinking about your film as another thing.
And that's like, we can, okay, so that's, you have that. But, I think what's cool is when you're making something and it's meaningful, of course, people get it. And then they bring their meaning to it. And you know what? It's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't even realize that was in the movie, but it just came out. And that's part of the whole artistic process. It's like, yeah, it's not an analytical process. There is some, analytical driving force, but there's an underlying component. And it's so
Right.
beautiful when that audience and the creators can come together and have that dialogue. So
Yes.
last question. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know I think it's an important thing for the movies, or for films,
Films,
to
yeah.
have an audience that is involved.
Yeah.
So that will, that means that the movie is gonna be alive in a few years. If
Right.
there is no conversation, if there are no points of view, films tend to
Right.
fade away, and people tend to forget them. So
Yep.
yeah, it's important people get involved.
So Joaquin, let's talk about the last project you did. Since making this movie, this was the last question. Since making that movie, or you can talk about the movie we've been talking about, which I'm afraid to butcher the title. Hold on, I got to get it right though.
Tenguerengue?
Tenguerengue. So you can say it about either film, but the question is, what have you learned since making it, and how have you changed as a person?
Well, I'm not sure. Well, every time that I make any film, even a small film, like the one we made, Tenguerengue, or the other one that I told you about, Charo 8, Charo Ocho.
Mhm.
Um, you always learn. I mean, and you become. I think you little by little you become a better filmmaker, because in my experience, you learn to talk to actors, little by little, better, hopefully in a better way. You also learn how to, since you show it to people, or you go to festivals and people look at the film, it changes the way you look at film, at the medium. You learn new tricks, let's say, about, okay, for that, that shot didn't work, people didn't laugh in the spots that we thought they would laugh, or you find out that people laugh or cry, or in places that you wouldn't imagine that people would react in that way. So yeah, well, that makes you evolve as a filmmaker, and then well, all the experience that a film gives you in the sense of production, the production sense, that you learn to do things in a more efficient way. Shoot faster, for example. I think I shoot faster every time, because when I was 20 years ago, when I came out of school, I remember I would I'm still picky. I mean, I'm still perfectionist in every shot, but I get to that shot sooner in the process. So maybe before it would take 4 hours to do a shot, now it takes less than an hour, for example. So yeah, I mean, you're not the same person a year later, or 6 months later, after any event that happens in your life. So the same thing with the movies, and also with the experience that we had with this short film, was that we thought we were making an experimental film, right? And then when we applied for festivals, experimental festivals didn't think it was experimental enough. So I think we didn't get into any experimental films. And then when we applied to more mainstream festivals, they thought it was too experimental. So the one thing that I learned from this short film is that nowadays everything is very niche. Like everything in not only festivals, but everything in television, and things tend to be very specific. So if you try to do a narrative, but very experimental, like they did in Hollywood in the 70s. I mean, movies in the 70s were, or many of them, some of them, of course, not just, but many films were very experimental back in the 60s and 70s. They were very in Europe, especially with Antonioni, and you had Fellini, for example. Fellini films were mainstream films. They were screened everywhere. He was nominated for Oscars, but they were very experimental. So that fusion of narrative and experimental, I realized it seems not possible nowadays. Either you make a commercial film, or you make an experimental film, or you make an art film, or you make, there's little space for fusions of and now it's funny, because in Cannes all the time, movies that are fusion of that are the ones that win, because are the ones that are more difficult to be made. So a movie like Parasite, for example, that's like it's an art film, but at the same time it's a very commercial film. But it mixes the two. I mean, very, very skillful, skillfully. So that's what we also try to do with this, and I realized that it's very difficult for festivals or for people to accommodate, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So because it's in the line of, like, it's narrative, but it's experimental. But and Fellini did it, and Kurosawa even made some films that were kind of experimental. Ingmar Bergman, Persona, or there are many filmmakers that made movies for mainstream, for everybody. I mean, for people to go to the movie and theater and pay a ticket to watch an experience. And also audiences were very they were very happy to go and see these movies. And probably nowadays you have these separate audiences. You have the people that love experimental films and the people that love you know, the Marvel movies and very commercial, very spectacular in the sense that they're very, you know, big in explosions and movie stars and all that.
Yep.
So after Tenguerengue, we thought, okay, either you know, you have a guy frying an egg. That's a typical example of an experimental film. That I know that I know there's several films that were, you know, about, you know, people doing things that are 0% narrative.
Yeah.
Or you make a very mainstream. I mean, all these short films that I see that win festivals are, you know, like comedies that have this twist at the end.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always tried not to make this type of short film.
Yeah.
The ones that I made out of college, out of NYU, the Censor is one of them that I made. It's like a mini feature film. There's a plot and a subplot, because normally short films don't have a subplot, and they have a plot and a subplot, like in a feature film. Because it's like, you know, I always tend to do the opposite of what people do, and that's why we took forever to make a feature film in Spain, because we were always against the tide, you know, always against the what's considered mainstream.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing more of your work, man. And, you know, I think it's really important to, you know, in anything that you do, art, life, is to be true to yourself and follow your internal compass and your voice and your heart. And, you know, that's how the world evolves. You know, people like that, just doing that as individuals, you know.
Right. Here's to the crazy ones.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Joaquin, thank you so much for being on the show, and I look forward to being in touch and learning more about what you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for the interview, for the experience.
My pleasure, man. Thank you. All right. I'll be in touch, man. Have a good one. Have a great rest of the day. Talk to you later. All blessings. Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you, man.
Bye-bye.